Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of NetCLIX and Chill. This is episode 2 of this series. My name is Jimmy.
And I'm Daniel.
And I guess we'll just kick it right off here. So, what do we have to talk about?
Well, let's start with this week's games. I think that would be a good topic. Do you want to do your team first, or should I talk about mine?
Go ahead.
All right. My team was basically just a conglomeration of things I wanted to try. So I had Dr. Demonicus from Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., number 47. I had Batmite, the LE. I used a Serpent Punisher Pog as a point filler. Gertrude and Old Lace from What If. The Anarchy Prime from Joker's Wild. Devil Dino, the one that I pulled last week from Superior Foes. Then I used the limited edition Jack Frost, and finally the Chase Green Arrow from Elseworlds, set that just came out this week. The event was 600 points, Golden Age, anything you want except no figures bigger than the peanut base. And I went 2-1. It was all right. I did not use Jack Frost very well. Really, I didn't play my team very well at all. I probably should have beat you, but I didn't because I suck.
Oh. So, yeah, my team for the same event, and this is at our local Coliseum of Comics. They have usually have an event every Saturday. A lot of the time, it's like, 3 times a month or 2 times a month or whatever. So, again, yeah, it was 600 points, Golden Age, and you could play anything except no like Colossals or anything bigger than just a 2, like 2 space base. I was playing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain theme team, and it consisted of Pizza Face, the convention exclusive, Rat King from the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. That's the one who's sitting in the chair. He can teleport around to hindering terrain and use mind control. Armagon from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. Shredder, and that is the one from the very first set who's able to take action tokens off of himself or heal himself of a click if a friendly character misses an attack against an opposing character. Baxter Stockman, the 60-point super rare, where it's like, the fly version of him. And then Shark Shredder for 130 points. And he was also he's from Shredder's Return. So that's the one. He's a giant. He's able to move next to opposing characters and automatically take damage and all that kind of stuff. Comes back if he's killed with his Mystical Worms trait. He comes back on click 4, so he's super good.
And click 4 has Steel Energy, so you can get all the way back to top dial.
Yeah, but if he takes just a little bit of information on that is like he gets killed, he comes back on click 4, so it ends up for a pretty good dial. He's a good distraction, but when he comes back, the opponent gets to place him place him adjacent next to any one of their characters that they choose. So if they killed him once and they have anybody ready to keep hitting someone, they could put him next to somebody who's going to do a big close combat attack who wouldn't have been in combat that turn or something. Mm-hmm. That's what actually happened to me, and they just finished him off right away anyway. But the one time that he got killed, which I also went 2-1. I won the first 2 games and then lost on the final table versus the guy who ended up winning the entire event.
Yeah. So, did we want to talk about those games at all? Just give a quick rundown? Or?
Yeah, just a quick synopsis. So, yeah, first game for me, I was going against a young kid. I don't remember his name. But Jordan. And he just started with the game, and he was probably like, young teens or so. And our judge, Jeff, had put together a team for him and everything. So we were kind of teaching him how to play as we went. And that game, I just ended up winning. I tried to kind of guide him in what to do and everything, but he kind of just was throwing his characters directly at Armagon and Shark Shredder. So I was, they were getting eaten by those giant shark guys. So that game I won. Second game, it was me and Daniel versus one another. And that was a pretty close game.
I played it so bad.
Yeah, well,
I did.
The interesting part was at the very beginning of the game, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Because anybody who doesn't know what our Anarchy does, he's able to place 6 bombs around the map. And on his turn, he could choose to explode a bomb, and it deals 3 damage to all characters within 3 spaces of that bomb if he rolls a 4, 5, or 6 on a die. If he rolls a 1 through 3, then the bomb is a dud and it just gets taken off the map. But he basically placed it to where it was like a grid all over my side of the map. If my characters left their starting zone, they would be in it unless I went all the way around the side and there was one space on the very edge of the map that I could basically like train my way up through to get past this bomb field that took over half the freaking board. So that's basically how the game started.
And you'd think with that much map control, I would have a plan. But I didn't. I made the terrible mistake of just throwing Jack Frost right into the middle of that team, trying to use him as a distraction card effects to get positioning with Devil Dinosaur, because I used Batmite to make Devil Dinosaur his idol, so I could just move 10 spaces, place the dinosaur, bring Pogs on, and go attack. But I didn't realize one of his pieces had energy explosion, left all the tokens next to them, next to each other. So on his turn, he was able to take out Jack Frost and all those tokens, and then I'm playing from behind, and I put my green arrow on the wrong side of the table. He attacked once the entire game,
And he missed.
and missed with like needing a 5. I was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically how it ended up going was I placed a heavy object, and the only person who had super strength was Armagani as a 12 movement with phasing teleport. So I placed it 12 spaces away where he could end up in hindering terrain right in that narrow block on the one side of the map. And Daniel, seeing where I'd placed the object, knew where I was going to be heading. So in the first turn, he loaded that side with everyone except for Gertrude, who had already sent Old Lace, so she was sitting in the back so she could get that damage. For anybody who sees that character, knows that character, I mean. As Old Lace gets hit, the damage goes one at a time back to Gert, so it makes that Pog character who's got Charge and Blades, Claws, Fangs super potent because you really can't kill him quickly. You have to hit him like 7 times to kill him, as long as you hide Gertrude. And then he had the pretty heavy hitter Chase Green Arrow sitting on the other side of the map as well. So he had overloaded one side, basically loaded down one side, seeing that I was going to be heading that direction, but didn't send everyone there. So I fully dedicated to that side of the board, and then was able to... A bomb went off and killed 2 of my pizza slices, the tokens that are created by Pizza Face, and then I was able to control that little segment, and then as people came in, just killed them, and it ended up being like a points getaway by the end.
Yeah, and unfortunately, since I was stupid and threw Jack Frost in there, since I was playing from behind, I had to go in. Like, I didn't have the option to sit back and make him come to me. I started negative, and it was too much. I couldn't come back from it.
Yeah. But the good thing about it was I felt like our teams were pretty even. It didn't feel like one of them was just like wash out. And our dice also weren't super harsh. I know that there were good rolls and bad rolls on both sides, but you know those games where it's just like every roll is just horrible. That was my 3rd game.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty painful.
Yeah, the 3rd game I was going against Vega, the guy who ended up winning the whole thing. He's playing an animal theme team, and he has 9 characters. I had 6 characters, and he won the roll-off from map choice. And he was playing Thor Frog from the Hammer of Thor set from way back when, right? Whenever NECA took over HeroClix. And that character says he has stealth. People can't draw a line of fire to him if he's in water terrain, and the entire map was water terrain. And any characters who are in water terrain and within 6 spaces of him take 1 damage at the beginning of his turn. Any opposing characters, not allied characters. And he had armor piercing on him, so 1 damage every single time. This character's got shape change and gets to a 19 defense with impervious, and he's like 60 points. So
yeah, he's kind of ridiculous. He's only got like 5 clicks, and you got to push him to get to the.
If you can hit him, he's dead.
But
hitting
good
him's
luck
a hard
hitting him.
part. Yeah. I aimed at that guy like 3 or 4 times because it would have been the linchpin for his team, even though he wasn't that many points. And he shape changed every single time. I never even got a chance to hit him. The only damage that I dealt was when my Shark Shredder got adjacent to him and did 1 damage. And then after that, I kept rolling 1s whenever I tried to break away, so I couldn't keep moving to get the benefits from Shark Shredder. So that sucked. And On his end, he barely ever hit me. He would need fives with flurry, and he would roll fours, and then with prob control, he would roll a 4 3 times in a row. That happened like 2 different turns because he was using Michelangelo and Raphael, the
sketch chases.
Yeah, the chases that they have the same powers as the 50-point commons, but they have a lot more power behind them as well. They have traits and stuff that give them a lot better chance of winning. So he had those characters, and he was just missing with them repeatedly. I was mind controlling, and I don't know. The issue was all of his defensive rolls were successful. So he was successful on all his impervious, all his shape change, and all his super senses, except for one super sense roll was the only one that he actually missed. I think that I may have killed one character the entire game, and he almost tabled me by the time was out. So ended up losing to that case, but it was still a fun round of games, I thought.
Yeah, it was a cool event. My game 1, Green Arrow really showed what he could do. I was playing against like a Doomsday, Parademon, and I think a Supergirl. It was a theme team.
It was Dark Side, right?
Yeah, it was Dark Side.
Okay, yeah.
So Green Arrow basically, I didn't realize the Dark Side had Mastermind as a trait or a special power. I don't remember, but either way, Green Arrow didn't turn it off. But I still just like straight up 5 damage. He Masterminded the Parademon, gone. Then I sent out the Rockabilly Pogs from Devil Dinosaur and used them to chip away at Supergirl. He did the double power action to get a whole bunch of tokens around Darkseid, not Doomsday, Darkseid.
Right.
But I was able to use Demonicus. He creates one of his tokens has energy explosion, so I just kill all the Pogs. And then after that, he moved to Supergirl away from Darkseid for some reason, and I just one-shot the Darkseid. Like, well, I guess technically 2-shot him because he has more than 5 clicks of life, but it wasn't hard to get through him because Green Arrow 12 attack, ignoring or not even ignoring. You can't use the defense powers, so like he could even one-shot the Devil Dinosaur almost. He's really good. Game 2 was the one we talked about against Jimmy, which made me realize how bad I am at this game. And Jimmy played it incredibly well, so I can't discredit him for that. And then Game 3 was against Jordan, the young kid. And again, the same thing. It was more teaching him how to play the game than playing a competitive game. So I was able to beat him, but it was still a lot of fun. Good event overall, and we both went 2-1, so you can't really complain about that too much.
Yeah. And one thing that I realized during the event was how good Pizza Face is. I actually did a Filthy with a Chance, a meta spotlight on Pizza Face earlier this week, and I noted that he makes the pizza tokens, and those tokens you get a number of them equal to the opposing characters that the opponent has on their team, and those things are ridiculous. They have a 15 defense, so they're real easy to just kind of wipe out, but they've got that plasticity. So you just fly them up, and they're tiny, so your people can carry them around, so you're not wasting action tokens trying to get them there.
I don't even think they count as your move. They don't count towards your action pool.
I think they do.
I
think the only ones that don't are the bees that Swarm makes.
No, I'm pretty sure that's their defense power, or not their defense power, but it might be on Pizza Face's card. That's something we'll have to check out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think they do, but either way, they're really good because although they have a 15 defense and they're really easy to kill, that plasticity and the poison force them to attack them. So you're still defending your own characters, and if they don't end up attacking them, if they choose to try to break away from the plasticity, or if they attack one of your other characters, they're still going to be taking damage from poison. You still have the potential to support your characters later on if they've survived. So they're way more effective than I thought they would be. Pizza Face was worth putting on the table, and Pizza Face made only one attack the entire time, and he never even used his mind control that's so good. He literally made an attack to deal 2 damage to someone, and he was still worth the 60 points because those freaking pizza tokens are ridiculous. And they spend so much time killing them. I had a stack of pizza tokens left that were killed during the course of the game, and they didn't score any points from them. So they put out a lot of energy trying to kill these characters, and then there's nothing gained in the end unless they actually kill someone else. So I thought it was It performed way better than I thought it would. I was thinking that it was going to be like a very casual piece to play.
The other thing I liked too was the 8 attack with your Shredder. They
Yeah.
just, I'm going to try to hit your 19 defense with my 8 attack. Okay, I take a action token off Shredder. He
Or
gets to
heal
go
him a
again.
click, yeah.
Or heal him. Like, why not?
Yeah, and that was why I was thinking to put that Shredder in there, because I was like, I'm going to have all these crappy tokens running around. At one point, I had 9 tokens running around and tied up the guy's entire team, because I also was running Baxter Stockman, who has a 10 movement and sidestep, and his special ability is he can carry up to four tiny damage symbol characters. So I would just carry all of the 4 pizza tokens over there and just surround them with plasticity figures they had to deal with before they could take out my team. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So it was pretty great. I was not expecting it, and I didn't think of this energy before I started, but it was good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with that, do we want to run into our piece spotlight and talk about your favorite piece from the games today? And I'll talk about mine.
Yes.
Right.
So we're each going to be talking about a character who was, an MVP on the teams that we played today at the tournament. And mine was, I'm not sure that he was an MVP, but he was a really cool character that I really liked playing, and that is Armagon. He's the giant shark scientist mercenary guy from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. I believe it is the second set that he was in. Yep, that's the second set. And he is a giant shark. His sculpt is pretty cool. Like, here's next stat, Anarchy. He's pretty huge. He doesn't have the giant damage symbol. He has a standard, but they just made him really neat as far as his sculpt goes. The great part about him is, although he doesn't have a starting charge or anything like that where he can run and attack somebody, he has a movement speed of 12 with phasing teleport. And his trait is Beware His Tail. Give Armagon a free action when he has 2 action tokens to make a close attack. So, the way I was able to use him was, first turn, move him to where he could defend a position or be next to a character that he could defend, and also not just be shot at easily. And then the next turn, just teleport him next to a high priority target and use that free action to attack. And then next turn, do another free action attack and remove the action tokens. And later on, he ends up getting charge and stuff like that. So the way that you could use it, actually second click, he ends up with charge. You could use him to charge at someone and get that second action token and then attack them again, which is something I actually did in my first game. He also has probability control, and if he uses that probability control on his own attacks, then he gets to use it twice. So that's similar to Booster Gold from the Batman set, which I used to play a whole bunch. He has normal prob control, but it's boosted if he uses it on himself, and that was pretty useful. There were some points where it was definitely needed. There were some points where it didn't really come through for me anyway, just because of bad rolls, but it's nothing against the figure. So that was pretty great. Other things he has regeneration at the end of his dial. He's got 9 clicks in total, and he is 170 points. So he is kind of pricey for the normal role that his type of character would play. So, he's more of a close combat beat stick. And I don't know that I would usually spend 170 points on him, but in a 600-point game like this, I was for sure I'd put him in there, especially since I was going for more of a theme team, and I really love the character. And having him with Shark Shredder, 2 giant sharks just running around, it felt real cool to put that kind of stuff on the table.
That was pretty cool. And doesn't he actually get like a mid-dial spike? Yeah, he gets invincible on click 4 with Running Shot and Psychic Blast. So like...
I never even got to that point.
Yeah.
I think the furthest he ever made it in the game was a second click. And he does have a 5 range. So the thing is Beware His Tail doesn't work with range combat attacks. So there was one point where I had 2 action tokens and the guy broke away and just moved 2 spaces away. And I literally couldn't do anything that turn. But it's still cool having that option of 5 range. And I didn't realize, he gets Running Shot with an 11 attack and... Psychic Blast with a 4 damage and prop control.
So he's one of the few pieces that you can hit him pretty hard and it doesn't matter. He just keeps going.
Yeah. I just don't like to rely on changes in format halfway through a dial.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, well, he gets to this point and he gets started to be a really good range combat guy. But you can never count on him getting there or just...
Or staying there.
Right. He could just get killed as soon as they see it. It's their turn because they're hitting you. And then they're like, oh, well, crap. He could use that to his advantage. Let's just finish him off.
Yeah.
So that's still real cool, though. It makes him more versatile than I actually realized.
Yeah.
So that's Armagon. There you go. And he is a super rare number 30 from the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Gravity Feed.
Cool. Well, I'm going to move on to our old man Ollie, Green Arrow, the Chase from Elseworlds. He is number 49. And I'm sure 90% of the people that would be interested in watching this podcast have seen what this guy does. But I'm going to talk about it anyway, because he's amazing. So basically, he has a couple different powers. The Dark Knight Returns is his trait. It's the Dark Knight Returns, not hiding anymore. When Green Arrow occupies clear terrain, he can use Sidestep, and opposing characters can't draw lines of fire to him unless they are within 3 squares of him, or he has 2 action tokens. So he's got Indomitable, so most of the time you're thinking you're just going to push him anyway, so that trait's not really good. Until you get to It Still Hurts When It's Cold. Green Arrow can't make ranged attacks when he has 1 action token. So originally I thought that was kind of a weird trait, not being able to attack with your ranged combat piece 2 turns in a row is kind of bad. But I also realized it makes him pretty much immune to mind control. In mine and Jimmy's game, he sent Rat King over and he was going to mind control me. And even if he was close enough to draw line of fire, he couldn't do anything except move Green Arrow because I had an action token, so no ranged attacks. So that was actually kind of surprisingly nice how that worked out.
So surprising nice.
Yes. He has improved targeting. He ignores elevated terrain, hindering terrain, and characters. So that's pretty great. He has 10 speed with Leap Climb, the traded Sidestep, 12 attack with a special power, Kryptonite Arrows. This is what makes him just amazing. When Green Arrow hits with a ranged attack, the hit target can't use defense powers until your next turn. If the hit target has a Kryptonian keyword, give it an action token. Now, the way that this works is it does not say standard defense powers, it just says defense powers. So that's any defense power shown on the dial. So Jakeem picking Invincible, that's still a thing. You can't get around that. But for most other characters with stop clicks, anything like that, you hit, they don't get any type of save. They don't get Impervious, they don't get their Invincible. They do get Super Senses, because Super Senses, the wording is kind of weird. It says when you would be hit, you roll the d6, and if you pass, you evade the attack. So Super Senses is pretty much the only thing that can show on a dial that can get around this Green Arrow if he hits you. With a 12 attack with Ranged Combat Expert, he's going to hit. The other important thing is it states that they can't use defense powers until the beginning of your next turn. So, like, what I was trying to do, it didn't work because I'm terrible. I was trying to set up to hit Shark Shredder with Green Arrow, go through his invulnerability, so I deal 5 damage straight to him with Ranged Combat Expert. And then, because he has no defense powers anymore, I was going to charge Blades with the Dinosaur, and then you could potentially just take him out, pop the worms, and then put Shark Shredder down and just still can't use defense powers, so he's suddenly really easy to take care of. And that's just what Green Arrow does. He completely won me the first game. He has an 8 range, which is really good for 80 points. Just solid all-around piece. And he has combat reflexes, so if someone wants to get that close to you, you just sidestep up and base them, and that's fine, whatever. And then, let's see. Oh, what I'm planning on doing with him in the future, actually next week, I have an ROC Winamap tournament coming up. I'm probably going to put Eclipso on him so that I can give him +1 damage from Eclipso and Precision Strike. So then he can get up to a 6 damage with 12 attack and ignores everything except Shape Change. So, not ignores, can't use. So that makes it to where he can even get around stop clicks. And I'm probably going to use him at his full 80 points. I know a lot of people are talking about him being an amazing ID call-in, and I agree. I mean, if you can bring someone in to deal 5-6 damage for 5 points, ignoring elevated terrain, ignoring hindering terrain, ignoring characters. That's really good. That's better than the Cosmic Spider-Man that just came out, and he can do 4 damage with penetrating with 11 attack. This guy's got higher attack, better damage potential, doesn't ignore the blocking, but he does ignore characters. So it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, very true.
I think I covered it, or is there anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's pretty much it for the spotlight portion.
He's cool. He's missing an arm too. He's only got one arm.
Yeah, I think his sculpt looks kind of weird though, because it makes sense. He has to use his mouth to pull back the arrows, but the way it was executed in the sculpt just looks kind of stupid.
Yeah.
At first I was like, what is going on? Was this a mistake of some sort? But no, that's just NECA's expert modeling.
It's funny though. It totally makes sense for an ID call-in, because I feel like after he shoots that first arrow, it's going to be really hard to get another one onto that bow.
Just kind of bite it that
So
quick.
for an ID call-in, the sculpt makes perfect sense. For shooting every other turn, Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention too. With his restriction on making ranged attacks but still having Indomitable, he's actually a great character for doing the ID call-ins for your lower point call-ins, like Cosmic Spider-Man again. So like you can get into position, snipe someone, next turn he's got an action token, you can actually still sidestep forward, do the ID call-in, and then like Cosmic Spider-Man can shoot someone that's behind blocking terrain that thought they were safe from Green Arrow. So he's got a lot more versatility than I think people realize, and they already think he's amazing. So it's just another little thing that I really like that he can do.
Yeah. So we'll kind of see how he fits into the game now. He's brand new. Set just came out. So
but he'll definitely
so you probably won't see too many of them.
But
around.
he'll definitely have an impact on the meta, like immediately, especially with Faust being retired, and they both were 80 points. A lot of teams can just plug him in where Faust was, and he fills a different role. He's not as controlling, but with that 8 range, with sidestep, and the ability to just take away defense powers, especially like if you're running him alongside a Jakeem or something, that means Jakeem doesn't have to waste his pick-a-power on Psychic Blast or Precision Strike, because as long as Green Arrow hits, they don't get those defense powers anyway, so you can be even more versatile with your pick-a-power pieces, and just good all around.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to be moving into the HeroClix news portion. So first, just wanted to point out that the next set that's coming out is a Thor set, and the new rule set is supposed to come out then. So now that Worlds and everything has passed, they had basically said that the new rules were going to be placed after that, and they're going to be launching it probably with some type of starter set with that Thor set that's coming out. And we had just heard at the event some rules that people were concerned about I had not heard of, and kind of ruins a good portion of close combat figures who have hypersonic. If you didn't know, basically hypersonic and super strength no longer work together. So anytime you are using super strength, there's something now called a close combat attack compared to an object attack. So you've got hypersonic, that it says that you can use a close combat attack, I guess, but since it doesn't specify object attack, there's no way that you could actually use it together. You also can't use objects with things like flurry, exploit weakness, or anything like that. So
the way hypersonic works, it's actually weird. What they were trying to do is, I guess, balance it a little bit better, but basically the way it's worded is you can move up to your speed value, and then you make a close attack, and then you may move your speed up to your speed value minus the spaces moved. So it's 2 separate movements, which means if you base someone, you have to roll breakaway to get away from them. And because you're making a close attack, you can't do like Jimmy was saying, you can't do the super strength because it's an object attack. But I also don't know if it allows you to use things like exploit weakness that you wouldn't normally be able to use. So that'll be something interesting to see how it develops because of this change in wording. And again, the spoiled rules so far have not been finalized. There might be changes that we don't know about until the day we have the book in hand. But right now, not being able to use super strength with hypersonic speed will make a lot of characters, like pretty much every Superman ever made. Mary Marvel is getting a big nerf, not just from the super strength, but also the regen changes. There's a lot of things going on that are going to nerf a lot of those tent poles. So.
Yeah. And there were a lot of things about the new rules that I've heard of that I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I didn't really have any big downers. This is a huge downer. There are so many characters that are now going to be useless. Like characters like the KC Shazam, that's a chase that was doing real well for a while. And yeah, there's a ton of characters that have flight,
one
hypersonic, and super strength.
Yeah, one piece that's going to get nerfed hard is a handstand Spider-Man, super rare from Superior Foes. He's 100 points. So currently he's got hypersonic, but he can only make close attacks, super strength, and because he's 100 points, he can use an ultra heavy. So he can move like 10 spaces and hit you for 6 damage. With the new changes, he can't use hypersonic with super strength anymore, and they're doing away with ultra heavies. So he has to run up, hit you for 3 damage, and then I guess pick up the object because it's a move action, and then next turn he can try to hit you for 5 if he's still alive. So it's just, he went from being able to move up and hit you for 6 all at once to now it's split up, it's just clunkier. So a lot of pieces like that, just they're not going to be nearly as good. And it makes full speed charge way better.
Yes.
Assuming that you can do an object attack with charge.
I think you can.
Okay.
I heard that was fun.
Okay. Next, do you want to talk about the tournament that I think it's supposed to be in like the next month or two? Some new group. Can't remember what they're called.
They're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, they're in Atlanta, Georgia, and they are hosting a tournament for money. I don't even know how much money is supposed to be going for this tournament. I think $1,000 for the winner. But it's something we haven't really seen done in HeroClix too much. Usually you play for limited edition prizes, the title of world champion, stuff like that. You haven't played for money. I know like Magic the Gathering does, Warhammer 40k does, a couple other games do, but not really HeroClix. What do you think about that? Do you think that's good for the game? Do you not like it? I've seen the community is pretty polarized on this. So I'm curious what you think as a more casual gamer.
I don't really care. I think there's part of a competition for everyone. So if some people feel like they'd be more motivated because a tournament is offering money prizes, I think that's fine. I think it's cool to have a chance to earn money in any game that you play because you're already having fun doing it, and I think it'd be cool to be able to earn something. A lot of the time that takes store credit or something. I had heard before that it could be illegal to do something like that. That's what I was told because they say it's gambling since you're betting. Basically, you're paying money to get into this tournament and then you play and then you get money at the end. They say that is basically betting because you are betting on yourself to win in order to get a prize pool, which is basically the same thing. But I don't know. I'm sure that with it having gotten this much traction, that must not be true.
Yeah, I think because Magic the Gathering can do it with their 5Ks and stuff, and they just cut you a check. I think they've kind of found that because you're not betting on any specific game, you're just being rewarded if you win. I think they kind of circumvented it. So it's not like I put in $20 and if so-and-so wins, I get money back. It's straight up, you're paying to play with no expectation of a return. But if you win, then you are written a check. So I think they've kind of worked to where it's no longer a legal issue, which I think is just following the way Magic's done it, because I think Magic's done it that way for quite a few years. So I think it's cool. I don't know if we need another competitive circuit since we already have the ROC. WizKids does their own championship every year. So adding a third national circuit, it's going to dilute the field. There's just going to be so many events to go to. Not everyone's going to be able to get the time off work to go to these big events, to pay the money to travel and all that. So you kind of run into the issue of too many people. Either everyone dedicates to one event and then no one goes to these other events, or it's just going to be diluted and then you're really not going to get a good turnout at any of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool idea. I don't know how well it's going to work in execution.
Well, maybe there would be a chance, though, that more players would get into the game, and I know just having money prizes might be a weird reason for somebody to get into a game, but I don't know. Hearing that might be like, oh, I could win money with this. Maybe I'll try it out. I don't know. So I wouldn't say there would be a chance of... I just why not? Because it's not like the game's going to lose players because of it. I think it's true that there could be a chance of dilution if there's too many big events going on, but it depends on their format and how successful it is, if they'll even continue. So who knows?
That's true. And now that I think about it too, like with Warhammer 40K, you have I think 3 or 4 different major national events. You have like the Las Vegas Open, you have the American Team Championship, you have the Bay Area Open. Like there's 3 or 4 major events, and I guess they get proper turnout, so it could work, I guess. Yeah. I'm curious to see it come to fruition and see how many people show up.
I think what would change things is if there are already like big ROC events and stuff in Atlanta. So if it could almost just get a different group of players who don't usually travel because they're not huge players. But if Georgia already has a big following of HeroClix, then I don't think it would be a problem at all because you're really just targeting a new sect of the United States. So sect, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but we'll see how it plays out, and we'll follow up on that in a later podcast, I guess.
Yeah. And then the next thing we were wanting to talk about was there is another event this coming Saturday. It is a 300-point sealed Elseworld game to play for the Wonder Woman Invisible Jet prize support, I guess. So they've already gotten the prize kit, and it's coming this week. I really like drafts. I love being able to, pull figures and make a team out of there. I've never lost a draft that I went to, I believe, and I really like the format, but I don't know if I'm going to go because you're going to be somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I'm going to back to IDC Comics for an ROC Win-A-Map event, so I probably won't be participating in the Elseworlds sealed. I think you should go because, like you said, you haven't lost in sealed, and I think it'd be cool to put next to the Dormammu on the shelf. So
true. I don't know. I just, as a casual player, competition really stresses me out. So like if I don't have someone to go with or something to like motivate me, push me to go at the last second there, whenever I would normally just not go, I probably just won't make it. So in being realistic, I'll just be like, because I don't know. I don't like competition. It makes me all like, ugh.
I think Vega might call you out.
Maybe.
I mean, he did beat you this week, so you got to show him what's up.
True, and he'll probably be there next week, so.
Yeah. So he might be your motivator.
Vega, if you're watching this.
Make Jimmy go.
No.
Do it.
But your time will come, Vega. Next 600-point modern or golden age, I've got your number. We'll be good. I'll load my dice.
So much for being casual.
Yeah.
That's like more try hard than I am.
Throw that competitive thing in there at the last second.
At least when I cheat, I just put Jakeem on the table and that's enough.
True.
That counts as cheating because it's Jakeem. If you're going to cheat, you're going to load your dice.
Well, I've told the internet now, so I guess there's not much chance for me.
Yeah. That's okay. You can just use my dice.
I'll use Will's dice.
Yeah.
Will's red dice. They're like literally loaded. They have to be.
Yeah. They are. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I see more 6s on those dice than any other dice ever.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anything else that we have on the itinerary for today?
Nope. I think that's it. Yeah, I can't think of anything. So with that, I guess have a fun week, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah. And also, if you have any suggestions for topics to talk about or any suggestions on how we should present this show, go ahead and put it in the comments because obviously it's still a work in progress. We're trying to work on our presentation and everything. There's lots of uhs, and we're not really used to talking in front of people a lot, so we're getting used to this whole process. Just let us know what you think, and we're going to be continuing for a while at least, see how it's received, and just let us know. So, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of NetCLIX and Chill, and we hope that you tune in next time.
Yeah.